Hey everybody, good Sunday morning. Yeah, it's kind of early right now. It's about 4:55. I've been up for a while because I worked tonight, or last night I should say. Actually, I worked about about 5 hours and 5 minutes ago. Actually, I got off about that time. Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to talk about something that kind of caught my eye. You know, at DeviantArt at places like DeviantArt, YouTube, Furviniant, TuneZone, all these places, people will mention something that in a comment or in a comment or in a topic, but mainly sometimes it's just a comment. You know, there's a follow-up to a topic or reply, if you will. And sometimes it's the topics themselves. And this one comment reply really surprised me a little bit. It was on DeviantArt, and again, I gotta remember exactly where it's from, what art it was out from, what artwork I believe. Again, I gotta remember. And someone had mentioned a Mighty Ducks animated series second season. Yeah. Someone was saying that this show here that ran for 26 episodes initially, ran for 26 episodes initially, had a second season planned out. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but if someone has mentioned it, then there has to be some kind of proof out there somewhere, some kind of evidence somewhere that supports this comment. Because somebody just can't come out and say, oh, well, there was going to be a second season planned, and that's it. I think the comment was around that. It was around something like that, that it was planned, that it was, I think, written out or something. And when I think about that, it kind of goes in the same vein as, let's say, believe it or not, Sonic SatAM. You know, we knew with Sonic, though, we were going to probably get a third season, but it never came to be. And we didn't know exactly what the season was going to be like. I mean, we kind of had an idea at the end of Doomsday Project what we may get, but that was it. You know, we didn't know anything else besides that. And so to kind of emphasize along with that, it's like you were going to tell us, yet you're not telling us, you know, what was going to be. And it wasn't until, like, say, years later, thanks to the late Ben Hurst, God rest his soul, that we found out exactly what the third season potentially was going to be. And of course you have a lot of fans in their own way, unique way, trying to get season 3 as a reality. You got some fans that have done a web comic called Season, which is spelled SEA3SON, as well as probably do an animated web series on it that would appear and be showcased here on places like YouTube and Blimp. So, and even Daily Motion for that matter. And maybe even a new Yahoo service, whenever that pops up. But the point is, this was kind of a surprise to me to read this comment. And it makes me wonder exactly what the second season was going to be. I look at it like this. I look at the fact that the second season would have dealt with the Saurians again. And in my thought, because I've been thinking about this, my estimation probably would have dealt with the Saurians being exactly in the same boat as, let's say, Shredder and Krang from the original TMNT cartoon of the 80s and 90s. Basically the fact that they're trying to rebuild the ship and get it to launch again like it did before. That's the only thing I can think of. because they're stuck at the bottom of the ocean. And again, like I said, that's the only thing I could think of, is potentially they were going to go in that direction as one of the plot points. I also know there were other villains that still were on the loose. You still had a droid out there, from what I understand. I think you had like I said, you had droid. You had the hunter guy, I can't think of his name right now, for the Most Dangerous Duck Hunt episode. What else? You had Dr. Pretorius still, in a sense. You had all these other villains that were still loose out there, as well as potentially you could have introduced some new ones as well. And again, we will never know that. We will never really know, because all I have evidence of a second season is what this fan commented on. And again, these are just potential things that that could have been explored in plots and stories. Again, like I said, you had Droid that was still out there. You had Pretorius. You had the hunter guy from the Most Dangerous Duck Hunt. I think you had those ice guys or something that, I don't know. Just a potential peripheral of villains that were still out there that, you could have potentially brought back for a second season, and maybe even focused a few episodes on them. I remember when TMNT, the original TMNT, did the 8th season. Eventually, the first season, the 8th season, which was the first season of the Red Sky seasons, which was the darker original TMNT, that for a series of episodes, they focused on this one villain from the future. Titanus, I think his name was. And so they focused on him for several episodes. And that was pretty cool. But again, they could have done that with someone like Pretorius, a droid, or, maybe even someone new, who knows. But these are just things, being thrown out there. I also know that, sometimes a second season, as again, proof with Sonic Sat AM, you can wrap a lot of things up. And you can actually, have some things come full circle, even if you're planning to do another season after that. I look at the potential of what season 2 could be, if what this guy says in this comment is true. And I look at it like, you could have had some plot points really be solved. Like, okay, one of the missions that the Ducks always had, mostly Wild Wing, wasn't just to get back to Puck World, but in Wild Wing's case, to basically free Kanar, get him out of that dimensional limbo, if you will. That dimensional limbo that electronic magnetic worm had sent him into, that he'd sacrificed himself to the worm to be sent into. So I think they could have wrapped that up. Maybe they could have gone in that direction. In fact, I'll give you a good example of a series that some people say, is similar to Mighty Ducks. And matter of fact, Huey Tumor and Rowdy Reviewer 2 years ago mentioned this as an inspiration, or as part of the inspiration for Mighty Ducks, and that's Biker Mice. I remember the original Biker Mice run in the second season, a lot of new characters from the Biker Mice past, a lot of things were starting to come full circle, started to be wrapped up, a lot of plot points, if you will. And one of the things they did finally, even though they did another season afterwards, but one of the things they did was they had in the second season the mice go back to Mars. So, to me, I'm thinking, they could have done something with the Ducks. Like, okay, second season, let's have them bring Kennard out of Dimensional Limbo. Let's have them find a way to get Kennard out of dimensional limbo, bring him back, and see what happens. And then you might say, well, what about Lucretia Decoy? She could be in the same dimensional limbo, and that's true. She could be. And I'm thinking, depending on how long they would have ran the series, or the season, if you will, like I said, depending on how long they would have ran the season, whether 13 episodes or 26 episodes like the previous one, you know, you could have, even with a few episodes, you could have probably done an arc maybe where you had Lucretia redeem herself. Maybe in dimensional limbo, she realizes from Kennard, and you can even made this. Maybe this could have been an episode. Who knows? Maybe this was an episode they were going to work on. Who knows? That maybe there was going to be. Maybe they could have done an episode, or would have done an episode, where Kennard and Lucretia were in dimensional limbo together, and Kennard, by some means, basically tells her and even shows her what Dragonis was really going to do. That maybe Dragonis was originally going to betray her and any other feathered ally that turned their backs on the Ducks and Puck World and all that for power. You know, maybe they were going to do an episode where Kennard would say, hey, Dragonis was going to betray you guys anyway. He was going to wipe you guys out just like you were going to help him wipe everybody out. So, yeah, to me, that could have been an episode they could have done. And maybe that could have played into, as soon as Kennard was freed by the Ducks, or his friends, and Lucretia came with him, maybe that could have been part of a mini arc where Lucretia redeems herself and shows that, hey, I'm back on your side. I'm back on the side of the Ducks. But we'll never know. You know, to me, that's just something I think they could have done if the second season, if there's any truth to it, could have happened. They could have done this kind of episode, if not planned it already, had that second season become a reality. Like I said, if there's any truth. And then, of course, you have other things out there. You know, one of the things I'll say about the first and only season of Mighty Ducks was you had episodes that focused individually on the Ducks themselves. Like you had them Take Me to Your Leader focused more on Wild Wing's development as leader and him questioning should he have been the leader. You know, you have To Catch a Duck with Duke focusing on Duke LaRange. You have Jurassic Puck focusing on Tanya and a bit with Beat to the Future, which was the same thing, but mostly Jurassic Puck with Tanya. And, then you had Bringing Up Baby that focused on Nosedive. You had Power Play focused on Grin. Buzz Blintzman, Mighty Duck focusing on Mallory. You had these individual episodes, and I think they could have done more of those kind of things in later episodes. Maybe reveal more about the character, as time went on. Maybe reveal the fact that, let's say, perhaps Tanya Tanya and Mallory went to the same school as Nosedive and Wild Wing. And they just don't, and Kennard, and they just don't know it. Things like that. Just call him the cat here. They probably just don't know that. And again, these are just things that could have been if the second season, like I said, if there's any truth to that comment that one person made on DeviantArt is true. There's so many possibilities. I think one of the things they would have done, depending on how long they would have ran the second season, had it happened, whether it was 13 or 26, I think they would have explored some romance. And again, I stick to my guns, and I think a lot of people would stick to the same gun. guns, if you will, when I believe probably down towards the end of this second season, whether it was 13 episodes, 26 episodes, whatever, we would have had the start of a nosedive Mallory relationship, as crazy as that sounds. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about in one video, where in a sense it reminds me a bit of the grifter zealot thing from Wildcats, even though you could say Duke was more like grifter, and I agree. But in a sense, you look at grifter, that yeah, he's similar to Duke, yet he has a bit of that nosedive quality, like, hey, you know, he's someone that kind of at times at the beginning would get on Zealot's nerves, Zealot wouldn't take seriously and all that at times, and yet all of a sudden, towards the end of the season, Zealot takes him seriously. Zealot embraces him as a friend and then a lover, and then as a potential lover or a boyfriend. And I look at the same way with Nosedive and Mallory. Yeah, the kind of like ex-thief thing goes in Duke's direction, but more so that tolerable kind of like, okay, I'm tolerating you, I don't like your antics, but slowly developing into friendship, romance favors Nosedive. And I believe they probably would have done the same thing, or a similar thing. They would have put Nosedive and Mallory in a relationship, not in the middle of the show, not in the middle of the second season, not in the middle of the second season, or right off the top. They would have basically had them become a couple towards the end, similar to, like I say, Grifter and Zealot and Wildcats. So I think that would have happened, and I don't think it wouldn't be the only romance that would have been done. I think maybe, even though it would be just like through Easter egg and hints, we would have gotten maybe hints and Easter eggs, in my opinion again, and I'm sure some people may agree with this, of Wild Wing Tanya, because think about it this way. Tanya is the most distraught and the most excited and happy, of Wild Wings, in Duckhard. You know, first she's distraught and saddened that she thinks he's dead, and she's happy and excited that she finds out he's alive. And then you take a look at fill in the blank, and they're doing these invasive maneuvers to get away from this avalanche, and she skates right in front of it, and he's the one that rescues her. And of course, some people might question, hey, did she do that on purpose? So again, you got those subtle hints and stuff. So to me, I believe, if the second season was to become a reality, that we would have had something like that hinted at. Maybe not done, but hinted at. Again, like I said, not done, but hinted at. And I'm sure they finally would have given Phil someone to settle down with, or finally, have in his life, and say, okay, here's someone that understands who Phil is and what he is, and maybe have, this person not only understand Phil, but kind of help keep him in check. So, I think, honestly, they probably would have done a lot of that, and would have gone in those directions as well. Just by what you see in the first season, and with the subtle hints and Easter eggs and stuff like that. So again, it's just me, but I'm sure a lot of other fans would agree that those will probably be strong possibilities had a second season been made. If there's any, like I say, truth to that possibility of a second season, that would have been. And then of course, with the second season, had it happened, again, if there's any truth to it, to the rumor, any proof to that rumor, I believe that, of course, they would have had a big climactic battle with the Saurians. We probably would have seen maybe the destruction, maybe the death, if you will, of Dragonis. And maybe we would have seen the return to Puckworld. Who knows? But I think that's possibly what could have been. But again, we'll never really know the answer, because the potential second season, again, whether or not some of this is true, never occurred. So But again, there's so many possibilities that I talked about. I mean, we could have had the return of Bernard, even Lucretia, allowing Lucretia, in my opinion, to redeem herself. Maybe if you wanted to go in that direction, you could have brought back some villains from the previous season, like Droid or Pretorius and a few others. You could have brought in some new villains. You could have done an arc on one of the villains from the previous season, or a newer villain instead of just the Saurians. You know. Well, okay, like one villain I forgot to mention, Astaroth. You could have had him come back as well. So, again, you know, and maybe you could have done a story arc around him for a series of episodes. But again, you had all these possibilities, as well as the romance possibility. And I still think that would have been something they would have done, honestly. As well as the return of Puckworld, final climactic battle, stuff like that. All these potentiality story arcs, episodes, and finales, and romances and stuff like that, and returns, I think had a second season. Again, I believe, just seeing what the cat is doing there, but I believe had a second season been done, like again, just to repeat myself, and I know I do that a lot. If there was any truth to that second season, then, you know, if there's any truth to that second season being, you know, basically being developed or even written about, then, or storyboarded out, or whatever, or story written out, or script written, let's put it that way, I think a lot of this probably could have happened. But again, unless we find out there's proof that a second season would have been done, it's just more like questioning, were they going to have a second season, and the potential of what that second season could have been given, depending on its length of either 13 or 26 episodes. So that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think potentially there was a second season planned? If so, what do you think could have been? Do you agree with any of my possibilities? And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.